This is Nightline, and I'm Adrian Seet. The top stories. Bersatu Vice President resigns from party. South Korea in national mourning after deadly Halloween crowd crush. And Buletin create history by winning French Open title. Thanks for joining us. The wait is finally over. Top national women's badminton doubles pair Buletin and Tina created Malaysian history by winning the French Open on Sunday night, becoming the first national women's pair to clinch the title since its inception in 1908. The world number 11 created history when they defeated Japan's world number 7 Mayu Matsumoto Wakana Nagahara 21-19, 18-21, 21-15 in the final in Paris. It was also their maiden Super 750 title. Their previous best was winning the Super 300 Swiss Open last year. Buletin played in only their second tournament since making a return after the Japan Open last month, pocketed $44,400 US, while the Japanese counterparts received $21,000 US. Malaysians in need of consular assistance or latest update after the deadly stampede in Seoul's Itaewon district on Saturday can contact the Malaysian embassy in South Korea at their contact line. The embassy said it is currently in touch with relevant authorities and is following the current developments of the tragedy which killed at least 153 people during Halloween celebrations early on Sunday. So far, it said there were no Malaysians identified to be involved in the incident. According to authorities, of those killed, at least 26 were foreigners, including those from Iran, Uzbekistan, China and Norway. Most of those who died were said to be teenagers and people in their 20s, and a further 133 people were injured in Mali. The death toll is expected to rise further as some of those injured were in critical condition. Officials said they still had no clear idea of what caused the crush. South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol, in the meantime, declared a period of national mourning and has ordered an investigation into one of South Korea's worst disasters and the world's worst stampedes in decades. In the incident on Sunday, an estimated 100,000 people had gathered in Itaewon for the country's biggest outdoor Halloween festivities since the pandemic began. In other news, the Barisan Nasional (BN) government is one that is concerned with the welfare and needs of the people, including youths. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said this is reflected through the various forms of assistance as well as the announcement of initiatives for youth groups, including aspects of housing and business in order to improve their socio-economic status.
Dari segi perniagaan banyak yang telah diumumkan oleh kerajaan untuk pinjaman mudah kepada golongan belia. Untuk mobile preneur, kalau siapa ingat, orang baru ingat, kita ada mobile preneur dulu. Mereka menggunakan motosikal tu. Tahun ini diluluskan semula. Dulu waktu kerajaan lama dulu, kerajaan 22 bulan dulu, semua perkara tu dibatalkan. Sekarang kita kembalikan. Kita kembalikan untuk mobile preneur. Riders biasalah dengan perkara ni. Mungkin riders boleh memohon untuk mendapatkan motosikal untuk digunakan sebagai untuk perniagaan tadi.
The Prime Minister was speaking at the Moway Two-Wheel Motorsport at Bera program in Bera, Pahang. As a testimony of the government's concern in ensuring youths can also afford their own homes, he cited the announcement of the Housing Loan Guarantee Scheme, which allows those with no salary slips to apply for housing loans. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri also reminded the people that the 2023 budget would need the people's support, as it needs to be tabled again to be approved, given that Parliament was dissolved 3 days after it was presented. Upset at not being chosen to contest the Tanggabatu constituency, Datuk Muhammad Razik Naizam Mohidin said he quit Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia bersatu after stepping down as the party's vice president, effective immediately. The former Melaka Bersatu chief made this announcement at a news conference.
Saya berasa sedih apabila segala usaha dan hikmat bakti saya di Parlimen Tangga Batu selama 6 tahun tidak diberi pertimbangan yang adil dan sewajarnya. Pelbagai inisiatif dan program membantu rakyat seperti Gerai Prihatin Rakyat telah saya mulakan untuk masyarakat Parlimen Tangga Batu walaupun tidak lagi mempunyai peruntukan sebagai wakil rakyat. Alhamdulillah, kini konsep Gerai Prihatin Rakyat yang saya pelopori telah pun diguna pakai oleh Bersatu dan Perikatan Nasional di seluruh negara. Tambahan pula, menjadi amalan dan tradisi bagi mana-mana parti politik di negara ini untuk memberi keutamaan kepada pemegang jawatan tertinggi parti seperti naib presiden parti untuk dipertimbangkan sebagai calon di kawasan yang dipimpinnya. Dalam konteks ini, saya merasakan struktur parti tidak lagi dihormati dalam Bersatu.
He said that the official resignation letter had also been submitted to the party president, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, recently. Former chairman of Kedah Amanah, Datuk Pahrul Razi Muhammad Zawawi, strongly rejects DAP candidates in the Jerai parliamentary seat. He said that the decision by Kedah Amanah had been finalised in several series of discussions held with Pakatan Harapan PH leaders over a month ago.
Kita dengan PKR bersetuju bahawa dalam konteks Kedah masih belum sampai masa untuk DAP mula melebarkan ataupun masuk di dalam kursi-kursi yang dikira di majoriti Melayu dan luar bandar. Belum sampai masa. Kalaulah sekiranya benar-benar ataupun sudah melalui satu proses yang sesuai kita lakukan, iaitu kita akan mula menjalankan kempen. Sekarang pun sebenarnya kita banyak mempertahankan DAP dalam ucapan-ucapan kita. Betapa teruknya kita menghadapi serangan-serangan daripada PAS dan juga pihak UMNO. Kita sebenarnya mempertahankan DAP.
He said the Malay majority parliamentary seat is not suitable as a testing ground for the DAP candidate, as the Malay voters' sentiment is that they cannot fully accept the party yet. He added that such a move is seen as an effort for DAP to try test its acceptance level instead of benefiting PH in the upcoming election. Datuk Pahrul Razi implied that Kedah Amanah's decision to reject the move by PH leadership to field a DAP candidate at the Jerai parliamentary seat in Kedah for the 15th general election GE15 led to his sacking from the party. The daughter of DAP veteran Lim Kit Siang, Senator Lim Hui Ying, is one of the 2 new faces amongst the 7 DAP candidates for the parliamentary seats in Pulau Pinang to be contested in the GE15. State DAP Secretary and the sister of DAP Chairman Lim Hui Ying, Lim Guan Eng, she will stand in Tanjung, that was won by the State Chief Minister Chow Kon Yao in GE14. Hui Ying will resign her position as the National Assembly Senator before the candidate's nomination to allow her to compete in the parliamentary seats. State Chief Minister Chow Kon Yao, the incumbent, has been switched to contest in Batu Kawan instead, which was vacated by Kasturi Rani Pato, who had announced that she would not contest in the GE15 previously. DAP Secretary-General Anthony Lok announced that the other incumbents would be defending their seats, including Lim Guan Eng in Bagan, Stephen Sim Chi Kiong in Bukit Mertajam, RSN Rea in Jelutong, and Ram Kapal Singh in Bukit Gelugo. Pulau Pinang Island has 13 parliamentary seats, in which DAP is competing in 7 seats, PKR 4 seats, Amanah 1 seat, as well as Muda with 1 seat. Pulau Pinang Legislative Assembly was not dissolved after Pakatan Harapan decided to compete the term until next year. Denying nomination in the GE15 as a domination of a family dynasty, Lim Hui Ying explained the decision to run for the parliamentary seat was made based on her experience in politics. She stressed that the issue of nepotism has not arisen in her candidation for the Tanjung parliamentary seat.
Selama ini memang ada banyak Lim di DAP. Okay, kalau nak memang banyak Lim di DAP, jadi saya selagi pemimpin dengan ahli-ahli DAP merasa ini bukan adalah satu masalah, dan bagi saya tidak menampak ini sebagai satu masalah atau satu batasan bagi sesiapa yang ingin to give service to the nation.
She is the third individual from the Lim family who ventured into politics after her father and brother Lim Guan Eng, who will defend the Bagan Parliament for the 4th time. Other than Hui Ying, another DAP leader, Sri Delima Assemblyman, Sherlina Abdul Rashid will contest the Bukit Bendera parliamentary seat. They are amongst the 7 candidates from DAP that was announced at the Convoy Harapan in Sungai Pinang. Gombak incumbent MP Perikatan Nasional PN's Datuk Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali said he welcomed Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Amiruddin Shari contesting in the constituency in the upcoming polls. However, he expressed that he was disappointed that he would not be facing PKR chief Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim despite the latter's suggestion of moving there.
Nak hantar anak pun boleh, nak hantar menantu pun boleh, nak hantar isteri pun boleh, tetapi kalau baiknya hantarlah diri sendiri. Tapi tiba-tiba pum, lari ke negeri Perak. Semalam, kalau mengikut laporan, kononnya ada nama besar. Tengok-tengok, taklah sebesar mana pun.
Datuk Sri Anwar was previously reported as not ruling out the possibility of running in Gombak against his former deputy. However, the PKR president then announced that he would stand in Tambun Perak against Bersatu Deputy President Datuk Sri Ahmad Faizal Hazumu. Hundreds killed and hurt in heinous Mogadishu car bombings. News from the foreign front when we return. In Somalia, at least 100 people have been killed and 300 more wounded in 2 car bomb explosions in the capital, Mogadishu. Blaming the Al-Shabaab armed group for the attacks, President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud said he expected the death toll from the twin blasts to rise further. Authorities said the attack at the busy street of Cebu intersection on Saturday targeted the Somali Education Ministry and a school. It was reported that the first explosion hit the ministry, then the second blast occurred as ambulances arrived and people gathered to help the victims. The attack in Mogadishu occurred on a day when the President, Prime Minister and other senior officials were meeting to discuss expanded efforts to combat violent extremism, especially the Al-Shabaab. Over in the Philippines, emergency workers scrambled to rescue residents trapped by floods in and around Manila on Sunday as tropical storm Nalgae swept out of the country after killing at least 48 people. According to officials, most of the casualties were caused by a series of flash floods and landslides that destroyed villages on the southern island of Mindanao. Several neighborhoods remained underwater after the storm raked across the main island of Luzon overnight, cutting power supplies and inflicting damage. Whilst in Parañaque, rescuers swarmed overnight through 3-meter floodwaters to reach 60 people, including children, marooned on the upper floor of a building. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has ordered urgent aid distribution in hard-hit areas.
Typhoon Nalgae triggered intense rains that caused
In other news, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak faced growing pressure on Sunday after reappointing Interior Minister Suella Braverman despite her resignation over a security breach. Sunak reinstated Braverman as Home Secretary when he became Prime Minister just days after she quit predecessor Liz Truss's short-lived government. Opposition on Sunday slammed Sunak, saying the reappointment of Braverman to the position in charge of domestic security issues was irresponsible, as there was also questions over other possible security breaches by Braverman. Sunak, however, insisted that Braverman acknowledge her mistake and take responsibility. Braverman is seen as representing the most right-wing Tory MPs and had previously enthusiastically supported a plan to send migrants arriving illegally in the UK to Rwanda.
Putin's war in Ukraine has destabilized energy markets.
Brazilians began voting on Sunday in a white-knuckle presidential runoff election, choosing between wildly different versions of the future, offered by far-right incumbent Jair Bolsonaro and his leftist arch-rival Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. According to a final poll from the Datafolha Institute, former President Lula narrowly won a first-round election and enters the finale as the slight favourite with 52% of voter support. Lula has pledged to support low-income citizens and reinstate environmental protection policies, especially in the Amazon, which has seen a surge in deforestation and increased attacks against indigenous people in recent years. Bolsonaro, who scored 48% in the poll, meanwhile, performed better than expected last time around, and many pundits see the election as too close to call. He vowed to consolidate a sharp conservative turn in Brazilian politics after a presidency marred by the pandemic. Brazil's 156 million voters will cast their ballots until 5 p.m. local time, and the result of the electronic vote is expected in a matter of hours. Bayern fires 6 goals past Mainz to take over top spot. Sports when we return. Bayern Munich are back on top of the Bundesliga after sweeping aside Mainz 6-2 on Saturday with 6 different scorers. Sadio Mane bagged 1 goal and set up 2 more as Bayern cruised to its 6th straight win in all competitions with an impressive 25 goals scored in those games. The hosts needed just 5 minutes to take the lead as Mane set up Serge Gnabry for the opening goal. Jamal Musiala added a second and Mane earned, then scored a penalty just before the break. Sylvain Widmer pulled one back for Mainz before Leon Goretzka and Matthias Tell scored Bayern's 4th and 5th goal. Marcus Ingvartsen scored Mainz's 2nd goal and Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting restored the 4-goal lead in the 86th minute. After this breather, revised findings of probe into Tommy Thomas to be submitted to AGC. Stay tuned.
Malaysia hari ini kini bersiaran
Thanks for staying with us. Police have identified 100 hot areas or hotspots across the country in the GE15. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Ekril Sani Abdullah Sani said orders have been issued so that special attention is given to those areas throughout the official campaign period, which kicks off on November the 5th.
PDRM juga melalui risikan-risikan daripada Ibu Polis Daerah Polis kita tahu ada beberapa kawasan yang agak boleh katakan hangat dari segi berkempen, dari segi sentimen, emosi dan seumpamanya. Dan kawasan ini telah pun kita kenal pasti dan kita telah pun membuat penugasan-penugasan yang sewajarnya.
The IGP spoke to the media after the closing ceremony of the General Operations Force Central Brigade's Tiger Platoon Unit Basic Training in Muar, Johor. Therefore, police will deploy its personnel in the area involved to ensure public safety and order. A total of 94,411 police personnel will be assigned to control and conduct patrolling throughout the nomination period from November the 5th until voting day on November 19th. He asked for the cooperation of everyone to enable the election process to take place smoothly. On another note, the country's top cop said police needed more time to resubmit its investigation papers, IPs, to the Attorney General's Chambers, AGC, on its probe involving Tan Sri Tommy Thomas. On Friday, Bukit Aman said the AGC had returned the IPs with instructions for some further action to be taken to complete the investigation.
Rakaman percakapan Tan Sri Tommy Thomas telah pun kita laksanakan, begitu juga dengan Datuk Jayakumar dan ada beberapa perkara yang perlu pihak polis laksanakan ekoran daripada arahan-arahan yang telah dikeluarkan oleh Jabatan Hukum Negara untuk memaskini perkara-perkara yang berkaitan dengan siasatan yang kita buat. Jadi mungkin ada sedikit masa yang kita perlukan dan selepas ini kita akan kemuka kembali semula kepada Jabatan Hukum Negara untuk mereka membuat keputusan dan meneliti.
The IPs centered around Tan Sri Thomas's book, My Story, Justice in the Wilderness, and one IP on Thomas's statement at a forum on September the 17th.
I think it's premature for me to comment.
In view of the rising costs of building materials, the Johor State Government will be reviewing the price of the Johor Community Housing Type A and the Johor Community Housing Type B. State Exco Datuk Muhammad Jafni Matshuko said that the new prices would be announced by Johor Menteri Besar Datuk On Hafiz Ghazi in line with the introduction of the new housing policy next month. He said the new prices are based on the recent meeting with 57 housing developers in the state who wanted the state to take into consideration the 20% to 30% increase in building materials. Datuk Muhammad Jafni also said that the state government was also aiming to build 21,139 Rumah Mampu Biaya Johor for the next 5 years, beginning this year. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at pairs of elite climbers racing up the towering Berchtesgaden Dam in Switzerland in a hair-raising battle organisers call the world's first head-to-head multi-pitch climbing competition on artificial routes. Now, the teams raced side by side as they scaled the vertical face of the dam on a roughly 180-metre route, which included more than 280 moves and nearly 400 holes. With that, I'm Adrian Seet. Thank you for watching and have a productive week ahead.